Hi everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you guys today, but I wanted to make sure that you got a good walkthrough of the guided practice for this chapter so that you would be comfortable, hopefully, working through the grammar practice packets on your own. So let's take a look at what's in the guided practice this chapter. We've already added grammar to your notebooks, so this should look kind of familiar. We talked on Tuesday about the preterite past tense of regular verbs. So you know that you use the preterite tense to talk about actions that were completed in the past. To form the preterite tense of a regular verb, you add the preterite endings to the stem of the verb. So we're still following the same pattern that we always have for conjugating verbs. We're dropping the AR, ER, or IR from the end of the infinitive, and we're adding the new endings. Now this isn't o, as, a, amos, an, like it was in present tense. We have different endings. So yo miré means I looked. Yo aprendí means I learned. And yo escribí means I wrote. One of those is an AR verb, one of them is an ER verb, and one of them is an IR verb. And if you take a look, you'll notice that the ending for the ER verb, aprendí, and the IR verb, escribí, these endings are exactly the same. All of your ER and IR endings will be alike. They'll be the same. So you only actually have to learn two sets of endings. So tú miraste, tú aprendiste, tú escribiste, you looked, you learned, and you wrote. Usted, él, or ella miró, aprendió, escribió. The nosotros forms are miramos, aprendimos, and escribimos. And the ustedes, ellos forms are miraron, aprendieron, escribieron. So let's go see what we can do with this. Activity A, the instructions say, read the sentences below. If they tell what happens regularly in the present, so somebody does something or somebody is doing something right now, you're going to write the number 1. If they tell what happened in the past, using the preterite tense, so if it's a verb that has the endings we just saw up above, you're going to write a number 2 in that blank. So follow the model. In the model, you guys can see that aprendí is the verb, and it's got that I with an accent ending. So they wrote a number 2 indicating that this is a past tense verb. Yo aprendí a leer. I learned to read in the past. Number 1. It says, tú miraste el letrero. Miraste is the verb. And since it's got that aste ending on it, we know that this is a past tense verb. So go ahead and write a number 2 in that blank. Sentence number 2 says, mi papá escribió un cheque. The verb is escribió, and we can tell by this I-O with an accent ending that this is also preterite past tense. So go ahead and write another number 2. Number 3 says, las chicas estudian mucho en la clase. The verb is estudian, and since it doesn't have any of those endings from up above, we know this is not a past tense verb. This is a present tense verb, so please write a number 1 in the blank. For number 4, it says, ustedes escriben un libro. The verb is escriben, and you can tell by the ending, this is a present tense verb, not a past tense verb. So please write a number 1 in the blank. Number 5 says, yo miré la tele anoche. The verb is miré, so take a look at the ending. And go ahead and take a guess at what number you should write in that blank. You should have written it too because mire, the E accent ending, indicates that that is a past tense verb. It's on the organizer at the top of this page. Let's move on to activity B. The instructions for activity B say write the appropriate ending to complete each verb stem. Follow the model. So, in the model we can see that the subject is nosotros. So they chose the nosotros ending for an ER verb and added imos to the verb. So the sentence reads, Nosotros comimos en la cafetería. We ate in the cafeteria. So let's look at sentence number 1. In sentence number 1, the subject is ustedes, you guys. So we know that ustedes takes the last ending, and it's an ER verb. So we are going to add IERON, yeron, and the sentence reads, Ustedes aprendieron a leer en la escuela. You guys learned to read at school. For sentence number 2, the subject is yo. I am the one who did this action. So we know that the yo form of an IR verb is going to end in the letter I with an accent. Yo no escribí la carta. I didn't write the letter. In number 3, the subject is Carlos y yo. Carlos and I. That's the same as if we were to say we. So we're going to use the same nosotros ending for an ER verb that we used in the model. And we're going to add IMOS. And the sentence reads, Carlos y yo aprendimos el inglés. Carlos and I learned English. In sentence number 4, the subject is Rafael. Now, if we use just one name, that's the same as saying he did something, or if it's a girl, she did something. So we need the ella form. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your organizer at the top of this page. So we are going to add O with an accent to this verb, and our sentence is going to read, Rafael no miró el precio de la camisa. Rafael didn't see the price of that shirt. Number 5, the subject is mis abuelos, my grandparents. To say that a group of people did something, if you're not part of that group, then you're saying they did something. So you need the ellos form of the verb. That's the last section of the organizer, the bottom right. So since this is an AR verb, we're going to add the ending ARON, and our sentence reads, Mis abuelos me enviaron una carta. My grandparents sent me a letter. In sentence number 6, the subject is tú, you. So we need the second ending from that organizer on the middle of the left-hand side. And since this is an ER verb, we're going to add ISTE. And the sentence reads, Tú comiste con Antonio anoche, ¿verdad? You ate with Antonio last night, right? In sentence number 7, the subject is padre, or mi padre, my dad. So to say my dad did something is the same as saying who did it. It's the same as saying he did it. So we're going to use the él, ella, usted ending at the bottom left-hand corner of your organizer. So what do you need to add? That's right, you're going to add an O with an accent. The sentence reads, Mi padre preparó la comida. My dad prepared the food. Let's move on and see what other grammar we're covering today. So the next section of information talks about the preterite of regular verbs and some rules for stem change verbs. It says, note that AR and ER verbs that have a stem change in the present tense do not have a stem change in the preterite. So in present tense, this verb encontrar is an O to UE stem change verb. So in the present tense, siempre encuentro gangas en el mercado. I always find bargains at the market. But when we use that verb in preterite tense, we don't change that stem. That O does not change to a UE. So, siempre encuentro for present tense, but for past tense, ayer no encontraste. Yesterday you didn't find gangas en el mercado, bargains at the market. So let's take a look at activity C. We're going to complete this paragraph by filling in the blank with the correct preterite form of the verb in parentheses. They went ahead and did the first one for us. This is actually an irregular verb. I wish they wouldn't give you these yet. This is actually what we're going to look at in chapter 3a. But the subject of this sentence, or this part of the sentence, is yo. So we're going to use the yo form of the verb ir. It's irregular. You don't know it yet, but the correct answer is fui, and they gave it to us, so it's okay. La semana pasada yo fui al centro comercial, pero yo no blank una camiseta de mi talla porque soy grande. So last week I went to the mall, but I didn't find a shirt in my size because I'm a large. So the subject of the second part of the sentence is going to be yo. I didn't find. So we need the yo form of the verb encontrar. There's no stem change. We don't have to do anything to the beginning of the beginning part of the verb. The only thing we need to do is add the yo ending for an AR verb. So our answer is going to be encontré. La semana pasada yo fui al centro comercial, pero yo no encontré una camiseta de mi talla porque soy grande. The next sentence says, mi mamá también buscó la camiseta ayer, pero blank mucho dinero. My mom also looked for the shirt yesterday, but it cost a lot of money. So the subject of this sentence is actually going to be camiseta. The shirt costs a lot of money. So we need the it, or in Spanish the he, she, form of the verb. So this is an AR verb. We're going to use costó. Mi mamá también buscó la camiseta ayer, pero costó mucho dinero. The third sentence says, recientemente me blank una camiseta apretada y no me gustó. So recently I tried on a tight-fitting shirt and I didn't like it. So the subject of this sentence isn't actually stated, but we can tell by the me that the subject of this sentence is actually going to be yo. We're talking about I tried on a shirt that I didn't like. So the yo form of probar in past tense, once again, we don't need to change the stem. We're only changing the ending. We're going to use the form of the verb probé. Recientemente me probé una camiseta apretada y no me gustó. The next sentence says, esta mañana nosotros blank temprano para ir de compras. So this morning we got ourselves up early to go shopping. So in this sentence, the subject is going to be nosotros. Now, if you remember last chapter when we talked about these reflexive verbs, we know that first we need to change this se to the we form and put it in this first blank. And then we need to conjugate despertar to the nosotros, the we form. So our answer is going to be nos despertamos. Esta mañana nosotros nos despertamos temprano para ir de compras. And the last sentence reads, qué bien, porque yo blank a la tienda y compré mi camiseta. So, that's great because I returned to the store and I bought my shirt. Once again, yo is the subject of this sentence. So since this is an ER verb, the correct conjugation is going to be volví. Qué bien, porque yo volví a la tienda y compré mi camiseta. The next set of notes tells us that verbs that end in CAR, GAR, and ZAR have a spelling change in the yo form of the preterite. All of the other preterite forms of these verbs are regular, but in order to preserve the pronunciation of these verbs, we have to make a change in the spelling of the yo form. This is something that you might want to write down on the notes page of your notebook packet. So, the verb buscar, the C changes to a QU. So the yo form of this verb is not yo busé, it's yo busqué with a QU. But all of the other forms still have the C. So, él or ella buscó, ellos or ellas buscaron. The spelling only changes in the yo form. For the verb pagar, the G changes to a GU, so yo pagué. If we didn't add that U in there, we would actually have to pronounce that yo pagé. And that just doesn't sound right. So yo pagué, P-A-G-U-E, but él or ella pagó, P-A-G-O, and ellos, ellas pagaron, P-A-G-A-R-O-N. So Z-A-R is the third form of the verb that has a spelling change. Almorzar, the Z changes to a C. So yo almorcé, just because we don't put a Z in front of an I or an E in Spanish. It's not how we spell things. So yo almorcé, A-L-M-O-R-C-E with an accent, but él almorzó, Z-O, and ellas almorzaron, Z-A-R-O-N. So we're going to have to do an exercise to practice this, right? The activities for practice exercise D say read the following conversation. Circle the verb in each question, then write the appropriate form of that verb in the blank. The first one has been done for you. So we know that Juan asked, ¿Buscaste una camisa nueva? Did you look for a new shirt? And so Emilio is going to say, yes, I looked for a new shirt. Tere looked for zapatos. So this first verb is going to be the yo form, yo busqué. The second verb, though, is going to be the Tere, the he, she form. So it's going to say, Tere buscó zapatos. In sentence 2, what's the verb? There's a word in that sentence that looks a whole lot like buscaste. If the verb is pagaste, How would we say I paid? Emilio would say, sí, yo pagué en efectivo. But Miguel didn't pay for cash. How did Miguel pay? Miguel pagó con la tarjeta de crédito. Once again, we need the he, she form. It's going to end with O and an accent. For sentence number 3, what's the verb? The verb is almorzaste. So circle almorzaste and then think about what would the yo form of almorzar be? We would say yo almorcé, C-E at the end, con Elena. But how would I spell the nosotros form? The nosotros form doesn't have a spelling change. So the nosotros form would be nosotros almorzamos with a Z-A-M-O-S. And for sentence number 4, the verb is llegaste. How would I spell the yo form of llegar in the past tense? I wouldn't spell it L-L-E-G-E. I need to add a U in there. So it would be yo llegué a las 9. But in the second part, Emilia y Victor, they arrived late. We don't need to add anything here. It's just llegaron, L-L-E-G-A-R-O-N. No U. As you turn to the next page, you're going to see that we've switched topics. We've been talking about past tense verbs, but now we need to talk about demonstrative adjectives. Demonstrative adjectives show how close something is to the speaker. And we talked about this in class on Tuesday. So we talked about the difference between this folder here where I can touch it versus that folder where the person I'm talking to can touch it versus that folder that's way over on the other side of the room away from all of us. So this and these have got the T's. I want you to remember that saying. This and these have got the T's. So if we look at these words, este and esta are the singular forms, masculine and feminine, and estos and estas are the plural forms, again masculine and feminine. This and these have got the T's. Este, esta, estos, and estas. That and those look very similar, but there are no T's. So ese and esa, esos and esas mean that and those, once again, singular masculine, singular feminine, plural masculine, plural feminine. And then we've got this third form that looks nothing like the first two. We've got aquel and aquella for singular, masculine and feminine, and aquellos and aquellas for plural, masculine and feminine, talking about things that are far away from both the person who's talking and the person they're talking with. So let's take a look at the activities that go with this. For activity A, they actually want you to translate to English. They just want you to look at the underlined words. It says write the equivalent word in English for each underlined demonstrative adjective. So in the model, we have me gustan aquellas camisas blancas, and in English they wrote those, and in parentheses over there because it's the those that are far away from all of us. So in sentence number 1, it says, yo prefiero estas camisas rojas. We've got this word estas, So if you remember that phrase that I said on the last screen, this and these have got the T's. So estas camisas rojas means these red shirts. In number 2, it says, a mí me gusta esta gorra roja. Once again, this and these have got the T's. So if it's just one hat, it's going to be this red hat. In number 3, the sentence reads, yo quiero comprar esos zapatos. So they're not right here next to me anymore. They're the ones that are next to the person I'm talking to. So we would say in English, I want to buy those shoes. For number 4, a mi madre le gusta aquella blusa elegante. We're talking about that blouse, but we're talking about that blouse that's way over there. And in number 5, it says, ella compró ese bolso cuando fue a París. We're talking about a bag. There's no T. So it's not this or these. It's going to be that bag. In activity B, it asks us to circle the correct demonstrative adjective in the parentheses to complete the dialogue. Remember that adjectives must agree in both gender and number with the noun they describe. So we need to decide what noun this adjective is describing so that we can decide which form of the adjective we need. So in the first sentence says, Lupe says, Mamá, mira blanc suéter de lana. Es perfecto para papá. So in this sentence, we're talking about the suéter. Suéter is singular and it's masculine. So we're going to choose este. Mamá, mira este suéter de lana. Es perfecto para papá. And then the mom responds and says, sí, pero él prefiere blanc pantalones azules ahí. Son más prácticos. So we're going to be describing the word pantalones. And we know that pantalones are masculine and plural. So we need to choose esos. Sí, pero él prefiere esos pantalones azules allí. Son más prácticos. Then Lupe says, oh, quiero comprar blanc faldas bonitas cerca de la ventana. Since she's talking about the faldas, which of those forms is going to be the feminine plural form to match with faldas? If you chose aquellas, you would be right. Oh, quiero comprar aquellas faldas bonitas cerca de la ventana. And then her mom responds saying, me gustan, pero blanc falda es tu número, el 2. Since we're talking about just one falda this time, which form of this would you need? We need the singular feminine form, esta. Me gustan, pero esta falda es tu número, el 2. Lupe says, pero no va bien con blanc camisa que me gusta, la roja. Since Lupe is talking about the camisa, Which of those forms of that does she need? Since it's singular and feminine, we need esa. Pero no va bien con esa camiseta que me gusta, la roja. So let's take a look at activity C. Activity C says, look at the pictures of clothing below. Then answer the question by writing in the correct demonstrative adjective for each article of clothing. The smallest article of clothing is the farthest away. Follow the model. So just so that we're clear, this, that, and the one over there. So every time it's pointing to the first option, you need a form of este, masculine, feminine, singular, plural. If it's pointing at the middle one, it's ese. And if it's pointing at the one far away, then it would be a form of aquel. So in this case, since we're talking about falda, we are going to choose aquella, singular, feminine, form of aquel, that one over there. In number 1, ¿qué camisa vas a comprar? We're talking about a camisa, that's singular, and it's feminine. And since we want this shirt, voy a comprar esta camisa. The singular feminine form of this. Esta camisa. In number 2, ¿qué pantalones te gustan? Which pants do you like? Since we're talking about pantalones, we need the form that is masculine and plural. So we would say me gustan aquellos pantalones. Me gustan aquellos pantalones. In number 3, they don't give us 3 options, they only gave us 2. So this or that. And we're talking about ¿qué traje prefieres? So, prefiero ese traje. I prefer that suit. Prefiero ese traje. And in number 4, once again, we're going to use those. Zapatos is plural. So instead of ese, we're going to use the masculine plural form. Pienso comprar esos zapatos. Pienso comprar esos zapatos. And let's take a look at section D. It says write the correct demonstrative adjective based on the English cues you are given. So in number 1, we need a form of this. Specifically, we need the form of this that matches with book. So debes leer este libro. Remember, this and these have got the T's. We're looking at this, so we need a form with a T. Este libro. It's singular and it's masculine. Number 2, ¿quiénes son blank señoritas? We're talking about the señoritas. And since señoritas is feminine and plural, our adjective is going to need to end in as as well. And we're talking about the ones way over there. So we're going to say ¿quiénes son aquellas señoritas? ¿Quiénes son aquellas señoritas? Number 3, we need a form of that. Specifically, we need a form of that goes with novela. It's singular. It's feminine. ¿Leíste esa novela antes? Did you read that book before? ¿Leíste esa novela antes? In question number 4, ¿de quiénes son blank cheques de viajero? We're talking about the cheques. We know that cheques is plural and masculine. So it's going to need to end in OS. ¿De quiénes son estos cheques de viajero? This and these have got the T's. ¿De quiénes son estos cheques de viajero? And for number 5, no me gusta blank lápiz. I don't like this pencil. Lápiz is singular and masculine. So this and these have got the T's. What form do you need here? How many of you guessed este? The correct answer is no me gusta este lápiz. Prefiero uno azul. We've got one last topic that we need to look at, talking about using adjectives as nouns. So when you compare two similar things, you can avoid having to repeat yourself over and over by dropping the noun and just using the article. Article means el, la, los, or las, form of the word the, el, la, los, or las, plus the adjective for the second thing. So, in this example, we have ¿cuál prefieres? El vestido apretado o el flojo? Which do you prefer? The tight dress or the loose one? And you can even answer that question simply by saying prefiero el flojo. I prefer the loose one. So, of course, you already know we've got to do a little bit of practice with this. So the instructions for activity A, to practice this idea of using just the article, the form of the word the, el, la, los, or las, and the adjective, the instructions say, circle the noun in each question, then answer the questions using the appropriate article and the adjective as a noun. So we have to do a couple of things. First, we have to figure out what thing we're talking about. So in the model, they circled precio. We're talking about the price. And they're asking, did you pay the high price or the low price? They crossed off the high price, so they said, pagué el bajo. I paid the low one. Pagué el bajo. In sentence number 1, ¿compraste la blusa clara o la oscura? Did you buy the light colored blouse or the dark colored blouse? We're talking about blouse, so we circled la blusa. And which one did we choose? We chose la clara, the light one. Compré la clara. Number 2 says, ¿probaste los zapatos caros o los baratos? Did you try on the expensive shoes or the cheap shoes? We're talking about shoes. Los zapatos. And since they crossed off the $600 shoes and left us the $25 shoes, we're going to write the words los baratos in the blank. The cheap ones. In number 3, the question asks, ¿encontraste el vestido grande o el mediano? Did you find the large dress or the medium? We're talking about the dress, el vestido. And if we look at the picture, we can see they crossed off the G, they crossed off the grande. That means the answer is going to be encontré el mediano. Encontré el mediano. And in number 4, ¿te gustan los jeans apretados o los flojos? We're talking about los jeans. And if you look at the picture, you can see they crossed off the flojos. So what two words do you need to write in this last blank? He didn't choose los flojos. He said, me gustan los apretados. So let's look at one more exercise. The instructions say, read the sentences below. Complete the second sentence in each pair using an article and the opposite adjective as a noun. So remember, we need to use the opposite, the antonym of whatever adjective was in the first sentence. So the model says, a Juan le encanta la ropa negra. No le encanta la blanca. So he's talking about la ropa, but he doesn't, he loves black clothes. So then we needed to find the opposite of black, which is white. No le encanta la blanca. In sentence number 1, nosotros preferimos las tiendas grandes. No preferimos blank. So we're talking about las tiendas, and if we prefer las grandes, that means we don't prefer which ones? What's the opposite of grande? Grande means large, so we need the word that means small. We're going to say no preferimos las pequeñas. In number 2, it says, a ellas les gustan los cajeros simpáticos. They like the nice cashiers. So if they like the nice cashiers, who don't they like? What's the opposite of nice? It even kind of looks like it. Los antipáticos. We're talking about los cajeros, so it needs to be los and it needs to end in os. Los antipáticos. In number 3, it says, yo no me pruebo la ropa apretada. I do not try on the tight clothing. So instead, you need to say, me pruebo what? Which clothing do you try on? We know that we're talking about la ropa, so this first word is going to be la, and the opposite of apretada is floja. Me pruebo la floja. In number 4, it says, Emily no prefiere las faldas cortas. She does not like short skirts. So we know that because it's las faldas, this first word is going to be las. And if she doesn't like short skirts, what's the opposite of short? We're going to say prefiere las largas. Prefiere las largas. And for number 5, no compraste el traje oscuro, compraste blank. We're talking about el traje, and you didn't buy the dark one. So instead of dark, we need light. So how would you say you bought the light one? You would say compraste el claro. Compraste el claro. So this should just about wrap us up for the guided practice, I think. You, of course, still have a grammar workbook practice that you need to work through. But if you follow the rules that we've discussed in this guided practice and that you added to the grammar pages of your notebooks, you really should be able to work through that grammar practice on your own. Be sure to read the instructions and look at the model for each section.